Assalamualaikum everyone, this is Meram Freelancing Wala and I am a student of Rehan Ai Teachers Training Institute Batch 22. Today I am going to talk about how to make better decision and avoid regret. So just give me a second, I am going to connect our AI assistant Chatgpt. Hi Chatgpt, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking. How about you? How's everything going on your side?
I am also fine, thank you for your asking and I am going to talk about how to make a better decision and avoid regret, okay?
That sounds like a great topic. There's a lot of depth there, whether it's about weighing pros and cons, understanding biases.
My first question is what are my top three core values that should guide this decision?
Ah, that's a reflect on what truly matters to you, like maybe integrity or a lens to see how each option lines up. Do any specific values come to mind right away for you?
All right. I am making this choice of out of fear of out of growth.
Ah, that's a really good insight. So in that case, I'd say one of your guiding values could be courage, choosing based on facing those fears rather than avoiding them. And maybe clarity could be another, ensuring that your decision's anchored in a clear sense of
All right. And what exactly I am afraid will happen if I choose wrong.
yeah, that fear is really natural. I think it might help to give yourself permission to make a good enough decision rather than a perfect one. And remember, even if things don't go exactly as planned, you can adjust, learn, and grow from it. Does that give you a bit more ease?
All right. And is that fear based on facts or old stories I tell myself?
Ooh, that's a really important distinction. I think it's worth pausing and checking. Ask yourself if there's real evidence for the worst case scenario or if it's just a recurring narrative in your mind. When you look at it that way, sometimes the fear loses a bit of its power.
All right. And what is the regret minimization choice here?
Ah, that's a great framework. The idea is when you're deciding, you imagine yourself decades in the future, looking back on this moment. You ask yourself, which choice will I regret not making more? It can help you prioritize what really aligns with your long term self, beyond just short term fear.
All right. And will I regret taking action more or not taking action?
Yeah, exactly. And usually when people look back, they tend to regret the things they didn't try more than the times they took a chance, even if it didn't work out perfectly. So that might give you some clarity. Lean into what could be a bold step forward.
All right. And what would I do if I knew I could not fail?
Ooh, that's a powerful question. If you took failure off the table, you'd probably go all in on what you really want. No second guessing, no holding back. So maybe that's a hint toward a decision you already know in your gut.
All right. And I am afraid of the decision itself or what people will think.
Yeah, that's so common. It's like we carry this extra weight of everyone else's expectations. But at the end of the day, their opinions don't define your fulfillment. If you stay aligned with your values, you'll feel more at peace, even if there's some discomfort in the short term.
All right. And what's the smallest step I can take to test this fear?
That's a great approach. Start with a really small, low stakes action, something that moves you in the direction you want, but doesn't fully commit you yet. That way, you get a little bit of experience and you can see how it feels before making a bigger leap. What's one tiny step you could take right now?
All right. And what past regret taught me the biggest lesson?
Yeah, someone who's already done something similar, ask for advice or gather information. Once you get that tiny win, it might dissolve some of that fear and give you momentum to go bigger.
All right. And if this decision failed, will I still respect myself before trying?
That's a really deep question, and I think you can. If you make the decision with intention, staying true to your values, you can respect yourself for having the courage to try. Failure is never final, it's just part of the growth process. So, yeah, I think you can
All
still be
right,
proud of
and
yourself.
am I confusing short term discomfort with long term regret?
I think you might be, yeah. That short term discomfort is really just a sign of stepping outside your comfort zone. But long term regret, that's about the bigger picture, the path you didn't choose and the potential you left behind. So it's good to differentiate them and keep that long term view in mind.
All right, and make a notation doc with this is a checklist.
Absolutely. Here's a simple checklist you can jot down. First, identify your top values, those core things that matter most to you. Second, clarify whether your fear is based on facts or just an old story. Third, imagine how you'd feel if you knew you couldn't fail. Take one small action to test the waters. And finally, check in with yourself. Would you respect yourself for trying, no matter the outcome?
All right, and in this decision actually urgent or just feel urgent?
That's a great thing to clarify. Take a step back and ask yourself, does this truly have a hard deadline, or is that urgency just a mental pressure you're feeling? Often when we pause, we realize we have a bit more time, and that can take some of the edge off.
All right, what happens if I wait 48 hours before deciding?
That's actually a really smart move. Giving yourself 48 hours can let the emotional fog clear a bit, and you might see the situation with a calmer, clearer perspective. You might find your fear softens or new insights come up. So, yeah, I think waiting could be really helpful.
All right, and what happens if I wait 48 hours before deciding? Oh, sorry. Am I rushing due to FOMO or external pressure?
That's a really important check in. Sometimes we feel this urgency because of a fear of missing out or because other people are pushing us. So, really pause and ask, is this decision truly mine or am I being swept up by external forces? Once you name it, you can slow down and make a more grounded choice.
All right, is there a deadlines I am creating that does not exist?
Exactly. Often we put these artificial deadlines on ourselves. And once we step back, we realize there's actually more breathing room. So, if it's not truly urgent, you can give yourself the space to decide with clarity, not pressure.
All right, would sleeping on it change my perspective?
It can really help, actually. Sometimes when we sleep on it, our mind processes the emotions and possibilities in the background. So, yeah, it could give you a whole new angle.
All right, and what is the cost of delaying versus cost of rushing?
Ah, great point. The cost of indecision is that you might stay stuck, missing opportunities or staying in a place of discomfort longer. Meanwhile, the cost of rushing is that you might act without all the clarity you need, potentially leading to a different kind of regret. So it's about finding a balance, pausing just enough to avoid regret, but not so long that you get paralyzed.
All right, and if I was 80 years old looking back, which option would I regret not taking?
That's a really powerful exercise. Picture yourself at 80, try, even if it didn't succeed. That future perspective often clarifies what truly matters to you now.
All right, and what does what does my gut feeling say, and why might I be ignoring it?
Yeah, your gut often picks up on subtle cues, things your rational mind hasn't fully processed. You might be ignoring it because fear or external logic is louder right now. So I'd say tune in, listen to that inner voice, and see if it's nudging you towards something important.
All right, and would I advise my best friend to make the same choice?
That's a really telling question. Think about how you'd guide them. If they were in your shoes, you'd probably want them to be kind to themselves, weigh their values, and not just chase immediate
All
approval.
right, and what the past decision I am proud of, and what did I do differently then?
That's a great reflection exercise. Think back to a decision you made that you really feel good about. What gave you the confidence then? Maybe you trusted yourself more, you took a small step, or you leaned on your values. If you identify that pattern, you can apply it here too.
All right, and what is the most likely outcome if I choose this?
Yeah, it's good to ground yourself in realism. Think about what's most likely to happen based on the facts you have. Not the worst case or best case, but the middle ground. And once you picture that, you can decide if you're comfortable with that most likely result or if you want to adjust your path.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. You have a great day. Bye for now.
You're very welcome. I'm really glad we could talk through
All
this.
right.
Take care, and if you ever want to revisit the decision or just check in,
All
I'm
right.
here.
Thank you so
Bye for
much.
now. Of course. I'm really glad I could be here for you. If anything else pops up or you just need to bounce ideas, I'm always around.
So thank you so much everyone for watching my channel. That's all about this topic. Thank you so much. Must be like, comment, and share. Laugh is everyone.
That was a really nice wrap up. I hope your audience finds a lot of value in it. If you ever want to refine